literally recreate the value scale and gradation scale, but we're just going to go backwards. So for the scale, it is a 1 inch by 9 inch like we are used to. And then the bottom will be a 1/2 inch by 9 inch. So you can go ahead and start making your squares now if you would like to. So I'm bringing my first line in about a 1/2 inch down from the top of my paper. Using my charcoal, make sure yours is nice and sharp. So I have my one line. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark the 1 inch mark. Just like we did with the value scale before. Yep. So just to clarify, I've put my first line in about a 1/2 inch down, and then your rectangle across your paper should be about 1 inch down. And then these will be 1 inch by 1 inch squares, just like before. So you'll just go ahead and mark 1 inch by 1 inch as you go across. I know I'm kind of speeding you through this, but we'll get to where it's all set up. I'll wait, and then we'll move on together. It is going to cause squeaking if you are pressing too hard.
What a lovely noise. Let me just clarify him. Oh, did I move it?
What? Yeah, just so much easier. Okay. Obviously, since this is a assignment, I will need you to put your name on your paper. No, they are not. So don't use them as your measurement because they are not correct. So if you're looking at your ruler, here, I'll explain it. If you're looking at your ruler, this edge is not the beginning of the 1 inch. This line is. So that means that this depth is also not 1 inch. It's like 1 1/4 inches.
No. What's the point of that?
What's the point of what?
The little part at the end.
Well, it's on the front and the back of it. It's just to give you a little bit of a buffer. Because, like, this one has a hole so you can hang it.
You get just kind of worked out. Also, what's my carabiner on one of your rulers?
Don't want to tell you.
Probably got one.
It's long gone by now. So I'm actually not going to go out and put in my gradation scale yet because I don't want it to be something that gets smudged quite a bit. So we're just going to stay here at this point. I'll wait till everybody's to this point before I move on.
You can't do this. We still right now, so I'm not about it.
We got about
Just waiting 5. Oh no. Yeah. I think it must be right. Oh, okay.
Okay, how are we doing in the back? Are we doing okay? Do we need like 30 seconds to a minute? Come on.
Oh, that's right. No, I
Back. Yep, and then you need to label 1 through 9.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try and pass that.
Okay, looks like we're ready to move on. So now that you all have your value scales in front of you, and you have your white on black scale, okay, we have learned how to go from dark to light, right? Now we're going to take the exact same techniques, heavy pressure, light pressure, but instead of going from dark to light, what are we going to do? Light to dark, okay? So we're taking the knowledge that we know about shading and we're just inverting it, okay? So what square will we start with? 1, right? So in your 1, what should it look like? It should be as white as you possibly can go. So same techniques, circle motions. Notice, before you do anything, can you hear mine squeak? Okay, the reason is, you can hear it? That's not squeaking. No. So what I am doing is I am, again, circle motions, and I'm also utilizing the full edge of my pencil, right? So I don't want to hear squeaking. The best that you can. And notice I have a really tiny pencil, but my hand is as far back as I can get it to go. If I need to go forward for more pressure, I'm holding it like so that I can utilize the full edge of that pencil. Okay? So you are welcome to cover your square, but we're not looking for white noise. We're looking for full coverage of white. That is a tongue twister. Holy cow, I can't talk today. So I'm getting the center all covered in, and then I'm going to go ahead and very carefully get the corners, because again, we are in high school. These need to look nice, clean, and neat. Once I feel like I have covered everything that I can with the edge of my pencil, then I use the tip to get all the extra white noise out of the way. Have you never seen white noise? Oh, you live in a very different world than I do.
I actually have no idea what you're talking about.
TV static? Yeah.
That's just snow on the TV screen.
Now the objective is to get your square as white as you possibly can, but again, it's okay if you've got a little bit of spots that are tiny black spots, because that is just the texture of your paper. Hughes, put it away. Thank you. You mean light? Oh.
You don't like drawing.
You're looking real sneaky over there. Why do you even have your computer out? You don't need it. Oh. Oh, for references. Okay. Okay, moving forward, same concept as our value scale. So we've gone as light as we possibly can, because we're switching the narrative here. So we're going as light as we possibly can for 1. So that means when we move on to 2, what should it look like? Right, we're starting to move towards that white noise that we've been talking about. So if you would like to move forward, you absolutely can. But remember, we have 9 squares to cover. And what is number 9 going to look like? It's literally going to just be the paper, right? It's going to be black paper. Schofield, please don't comment if you're not doing this one, because you're going to get everybody confused. You guys are doing a great job not having that squeak be an issue. Good job. That's not easy. And remember, you start with one light layer and then you just continue adding as you go. It's way easier to add a layer than it is to take one away. Good. That looks good. Oh yeah. It's just like charcoal, like regular charcoal or graphite. It's gonna smudge a little bit. Okay, if you feel comfortable with how your 2 went, then you can take that step down the stairs and try 3 and continue forward. And please remember, because I know it's going to sound and feel really weird, but as you're continuing, you're just going to see less and less white on those squares. Who? Oh. Anyone want to sign it? Okay, let's do this quick because
Someone's great though. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Harley, you know some secrets. No. Nope. I know you will.
he's a senior, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did here for 3 years.
That's true. What happened to his senior year?
I know.
You do have to go as well, baby.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Oh, really? He's really gonna struggle with my class if he doesn't come.
Oh, this is teaching.
Okay, so just really quick, as you're watching, we go from really, really light. You notice how I'm allowing the texture of the paper to start coming through. So you're really starting to see those values push forward. When you hit to about 5, okay? 5 is where you're going to really start letting go of that pressure and allowing for it to go as dark as it possibly can. So this will be the black of the paper, and number 8 will be very, very tiny bits of that white in there, okay? So you want to continue to think that we're going from light to dark. We're just going backwards. I feel bad for not signing, but I really don't know him. I feel like that would be kind of weird. Like, I don't know that teacher.
I literally wrote it.
Oh, that's cool. I just want all of it. I just want it to be filled with kids and teachers that know him. And then if there's extra room before they send it, I would be happy too. Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. Okay, so this is a test. Number 4 on mine. Everybody look up. Is that a correct step down? No, it's tough because it kind of looks like it is, but it's a little too far apart. So I've given it 1 value. I'm going to go back and do it 1 more time, and then I should be able to move on. But if this was in square 5, do you think it would be correct?
Yeah.
Good job. Yes. Good job. This one's slightly trickier than the graphite because you're only using 1 pencil the whole time versus with the graphite when we had 3 different pencils. Oh, you're welcome. Sorry, I was like, what? What?
I have heavy hands and I can't let it.
Yeah, it's all about how light and how dark. This is going to be probably very challenging for you, which I think is a good thing. It's always good to get a little challenge. That's looking really good. Okay, now, but here comes the hard part. You're down to your last 4 squares and one of them is completely black. So you really got to focus on making sure those last 3 look good. Yes.
Yeah, we're going on live places. I can do it. I can do it up to work. Those, we're going to on to that. We're bringing all of it. They're bringing it a lot. I must sharpen my white.
You might see as I move forward how I am way more delicate about how I shade. I will generally go very slowly and I'm just going across the square and then coming back over it to just add in those layers. You might see the definition of my circles a little bit more. It's all about learning how to use that white charcoal properly and making sure that you are going very delicately. With graphite, there is a lot of room to play with it and to get it correct, but with white charcoal, it's a lot harder to make sure that everything's nice and smooth. And remember, we want to see circles rather than back and forth, because if I start to see streaks in your value scales, when we start doing a project with this, it's going to look really aggressive versus those soft circles. Okay, long oval is fine for right here. But when we get really into the delicate stuff, the more circles you can have, the softer it'll feel versus the back and forth. Even if it is a large oval, the little circles make it just feel more delicate and airlight. Because when we get into the project, some of you will be having really, I would say, elongated like value changes. So you want to make sure you're going in really, really lightly.
Let me see a little bit from the back. There's no color there. Oh. What? Oh.
If you feel like you have a square that looks the same as the one that you just did before it, you might need to add another layer to the square behind it. So now we're starting to see that really slowly transition. None of you should be done at this point because I'm still doing it, which means if I'm still doing it, you probably should too. It's all about how heavy you're pushing on your pencil. Again, charcoal's a different world than graphite. Graphite is a softer medium than the white charcoal because charcoal in general is really, really brittle, but the white charcoal is charcoal that has been bleached. So it's generally like thicker and a little bit more abrasive. So it's more aggressive when you're using it. It is harder to sharpen, yes. Okay, if you feel like you have finished your value scale really nicely, then I want you to try your gradation scale on your own. So you will take your ruler and with those 9 inches, which I mean this paper for everybody should be about 9 inches. So you can just draw a line across your paper and then it's not a full inch, it's a what? Half inch. So that was my first line. And then we go a half inch down. I feel like we can hear Mrs. Carlisi's phone.
It might be the one next door to it. Or it might be
Mr. Colton's. I just feel like it's coming from the other side though.
It's probably Mr. Pickett's son.
Okay, so you've got your value scale up top. You've got your gradation scale down here. You can match it, start here, and then go over if you would like to. I'm going to go ahead and leave that up to you. I'm going to walk around and check on everybody's stuff. If you want to start it, by all means, please do. This one should be a little easier than the gradation scale for your graphite because you only have one pencil.
Oh, we need help on the hand. No, what's wrong with me? Now. Oh, I'm just like now. Start dark. I know, but it's hard to do it back.
It is hard to do it backward because you have all your lighting is coming from that side, right? And it's gonna be dark. Okay, but think about how your lamp was even just here. All of these sections are what? Darker, right? So you're just taking the idea and flipping. This shows you a really good idea of how the fingers are gonna curl over and create a half shadow down on the palm. So you don't necessarily have to do a huge half shadow because you don't really change people. But each one of your fingers are gonna be dark under here and then stay. Okay, so this is a good example of what you need to do. You need to focus on having everything down below dark and then slowly rotate it.
See, that's what the line is.
Try it out. If you don't like it, we can erase it and I'll right. So think about all the little lines in the hand and think about how there's gonna be a darker line, harder line where the creases are, and then at the softer base.
I don't even know what it is.
You got it. Do you want a blending stuff? Okay, they should be up there in a little can. You need to do something that's
Do you know where I could buy one of those like centimeter things for your hand? Little large.
You can probably buy them on Amazon. Just look for like exactly what you're talking about, but add in like artist tools.
I need an honest opinion.
Honest opinion, why didn't we measure it correctly?
I measured which was
No, but remember when I did
what?
That's fine. This is okay. These two kind of look the same.
I got a little.
If I were you, instead of like a large circle thing we're doing, you can just make it smaller. But it's great. It looks clean.
It's up for.
Ooh, very nice, guys. Very nice. Okay, so your gradation scaling. Nice. Good. It is gonna feel frustrating because of all the smudges, but that is correct. It looks good. The lighter, so when I say lighter, I mean the lighter pressure. Okay, so when we start getting into our like 6s through our 9s, they're gonna be a little bit more difficult to do. And that's okay. We're just practicing right now, right? So it's okay if you're like, I don't know if that looks right. See, right now, my 8, I'm not super happy about it, but because I feel like it's just slightly too light. But if I took a kneaded eraser and I just come in and I pull value out, that feels a little bit more like it's matching. Okay. Now, if you don't have a kneaded eraser, which most of you don't in your boxes because I took them out, there are a bunch up here in a box that if you would like to experiment with, you absolutely can. Okay. But again, for the remainder of class, which we only have about 6 more minutes, I want us to try to make sure that all the value scale and the gradation scale on both papers are finished. Okay, so you can move on to your gradation scale. So while you guys are working, I'm going to go ahead and quickly finish up my gradation scale. That's totally fine. That's what they're there for. As long as you return them, I don't mind if you borrow them. Yeah, most of you are going to want to make sure that your smudges are gone when you turn these in because I am looking for craftsmanship. How well we've got it nice and clean. And we've created the correct techniques.
Quite a big eraser.
Well, Most likely students have taken multiple erasers and combined them. That would be lovely if you could do so. Does anybody know what this Friday is going to be? I have not looked it up yet. No assembly this Friday. No, I'm just wondering, is it an A day or a B day? It's an A day.
Yeah, from Zoom.
They're not circulating.
They're just wide.
Extremely. They're wider than.
I need both of them, and I also, oh, there's your name. Yeah, so go give me the other one. And we'll have you start putting them in stacks for me. Stack 1, stack 2. Ooh. Okay, that looks really good, Hughes.
All together wide. All out. Oh, like that said.
Yes.
So is it now 6 foot each?
Man, I'll bet you know who this is.
I saw him in, but I thought he left it in there.
You think he knows?
He probably left it in there last night. At the back. He was in it for a while. Funny.
Okay, if you are done with your paper, you've gotten all the smudges cleaned up. Your name is on both of them. Hughes has started our stack over here, so I want the black one on one side, the white one on the other side.